Oh, hi, everyone. Welcome back to our Chamber Collective Zooming into Success series. My name is Dr. Danielle Lord, always the flighty professor. That's me, joined once again with our great member services charity. And today we are joined by actually a really recent new member to our Chamber Collective, Pam Hines of PLH Accounting Services. So we're excited to hear Pam's presentation today. She's going to talk about the story behind your numbers. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Pam. Feel free to share your screen and enjoy the conversation, everyone.
Okay, well, hello all, and thank you very much, Charity and Dr. Danielle, for allowing me this opportunity to present PLH Accounting Services, and not only what we do, but also what makes us different than any other accounting company. Now, as you can see on this first slide, it's a little bit about me, and I want to back this up a little bit because my path to getting to accounting has not been smooth. I did not definitely wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be an accountant. I did not go to school and say, I want to be an accountant. I actually went to school and said, I want to be a physical therapist. And what happened was life got in the way. That thing called money got in the way. And I ended up moving to Arizona, which is where I got my first taste in accounting. Played a lot of golf because that's what you do in Arizona is play golf. And then a couple years later, I moved back home. And when I moved back home, I worked for a sign company. Yeah, because that has a lot to do with accounting. So I knew that my path was to give back. I wanted a way to be able to give back to others in something I was really good at. And I really thought, based on my background in athletics, so I am an Ironman, which is swim, bike, run. And I know that the Bonnie Lake Triathlon is coming up. And I have done that race a couple of times. But an Ironman is the big race. Have I gone to Hawaii? Absolutely not. But anyway, so I took all of my knowledge and I became a certified health coach. And that's what I was doing as kind of a side gig while I was growing my skills in accounting. And so on my slide here, you'll see that I'm an accountant advisor and certified health coach. And the question is, why does that even matter? Well, we will get to that in a moment. Essentially, I also wanted to have some fun doing it. Now, if you talk about accountants, if you talk about bookkeepers, if you talk about tax, if you talk about anything like that, a lot of people will roll their eyes in the back of their head and go, oh no, I don't want to talk about tax. Oh no, the IRS, the state, everybody's taking my money. Well, I'll tell you what, I bring a little levity to that because I take your numbers seriously, but you got to have a little fun. And that pocket protecting wearing accountant is really not going to, get you there, I think. So I'm a little different in that way. I've got 30 years of experience. I have grown in accounting. I did accounts receivable, which is where people pay your company money. I've done accounts payable, which is where you pay others money. I've done payroll. You pay your employees. 1099 maintenance. What else? Health insurance, tax, income tax, sales tax, square footage tax, B&O tax, all of that. I have done health insurance. I think I added general liability insurance negotiations. So I've grown my role into a controller where for a small company, and I say small company at about 150 to 200 million, right about 150 employees. And when you have a controller at that level, you're wearing multiple hats. Like your hats are all over the place, hire, fire, the whole thing. And then I decided that it was the small business that was really needing my expertise. Because when a small business gets into business, they don't think about a lot of things. They don't think about, like in Washington State, for example, they don't think about the different cities they're working in. They don't think about maybe they're a sole proprietor, maybe they need to be set up as an LLC or maybe an S corp, paying their people. A lot of people don't think about this, or maybe they have health insurance and they're in the construction industry and can't afford health insurance for their employees, but don't know about the health trust, right? So that you can get through the BIAW or Member Services or Master Builders Association, MBA, which is in the North End. Anyway, so I have taken all of my experience and I'm now helping small businesses. So who is this for? This is for any small business owner who wants a healthy, profitable business, not just somebody who hands them a financial report and says, hey, here you go. Also, entrepreneurs who feel like the numbers never quite tell the full story. This is a big one because a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs can look at their numbers, but not really know what they're saying. It's also for anybody who looks at their numbers, sees that they're making money on the bottom line, but has no cash. Like, where's my money? And feels broke in real life. And so also, to be quite clear, I am a QuickBooks Online accountant. And with that, I can transfer or migrate different systems to QuickBooks, but I don't work in Xero. I don't work in Xero. I don't work in Fresh Start or Fresh Numbers, or I don't even know what it's called. Hence the reason I don't work in it. So what is your business telling you? Because the health of your business affects the health of your life. Now, again, being a health coach, this is super important. And so it's really important for me to help you, or us to help you, have you understand your numbers so that you feel supported in both ways. Numbers, as Dr. Danielle was saying, she gets anxiety by looking at her numbers. And I 100% get that. And they can also make your eyes glaze over and look at something and go, what does this even mean? What does it even mean? So you can look at something and say, okay, great. I have payroll, neat. I have marketing expenses, neat. Like, what does this even mean to me? So numbers have a way definitely of overwhelming even the smartest business owners. So some business owners think, I've got this in the bag. How hard can this be? A little debit credit, or, a sale and expense. How hard is this? Well, you get into the depths of it and it can get a little complicated, which is why you hire somebody like us. So the other thing that health coaching has done is it's helped to really define that behind every number is a decision made, a belief, and a pattern. So I run a lot on trends. And if somebody wants to help them grow, number one, I want to know your vision. And number two, I also want to see the pattern. What's your revenue pattern? What's your cost of goods sold pattern? What kind of expenses do you have? And what kind of pattern do you have in those? It's super important to understand the patterns of your number. And you can even do that personally. If you say, what's my pattern in ordering DoorDash, or going to the grocery store every day? Behind every number is a decision made, a belief, and a pattern. And then also, if you don't understand this pattern or this story that your business is trying to tell you, you're not leading it. You're just reacting to it. And then now, instead of trying to be a visionary, you're a reactionary person. And what side do you want to be on? Do you want to be able to create a vision, or do you want to be constantly in chaos and creating reacting to your story? So the first thing I want to talk about, which is our favorite subject, is tax. And I know everybody thinks, oh my God, please don't talk about tax. I don't like tax. And we just got through tax season and I thought I was going to die. No, I can tell you that it doesn't have to be scary. You just have to understand it a little bit, or again, hire somebody like PLH to help you understand it. So when you're an entrepreneur, or you're an LLC or a single member LLC, or even an S Corp, or even a C Corp for that matter, but I don't work with a lot of C Corps. There are these things called estimated payments. And think of them as prepaying your progress. Now, what are estimated payments? So if you run your financials, so your profit and loss, your income statement, those are both the same thing. And it shows that you're making a lot of money and you've got all of your expenses in, then at the end of the year, you might have a giant where you're like, oh, a bunch of money for estimated payments. A bunch of money at the end of the year. And then you have to write a giant check. Well, estimated payments are something that you make quarterly that is basically prepaying for your progress. And it's really great that at the end of the year, if you've made your estimated payments, that you don't have a big surprise. Also, the state of Washington is super fun with tax. What do we got? We got B&O tax, which if you look it up, B&O tax basically is Washington State's version of an income tax. And it is a gross receipts tax. So what that means is everything you make top line, and usually cash. So all the cash you bring in top line, you are subject to a B&O tax. So it's super important that in your tax story, you understand what kind of service you provide to know you're paying the right B&O tax. And then there's sales tax and square footage tax. So B&O tax is not just states. B&O tax is also implemented in various cities within Washington State. Now, to make things even more fun, it's not every state, it's only some. I mean, it's not only one city, it's like a multitude of cities. And on top of B&O tax for these cities, you also have a square footage tax. And so, this can make your head spin. And I can tell you what, I have a matrix that that I am definitely willing to share, and it's up to date as of now. And this matrix shows every city that has a B&O tax and every city that has a square footage tax and what they are. Just so that you know, when you go to do business in another city, that you are doing what you need to do for that city so they don't come back and audit you. I have a client that did not register for B&O tax in one of the cities and has ended up now in an audit, which I am taking care of. So it's super important to understand that. And also, where do you need a business license? That's the other thing. And the bottom line with the business license is, pro tip, if you do at least $2,000 in a city, then you need a business license, regardless if you live there or not. So the tax story also tells your lifestyle choices. And from how you travel to how you work, they all shape your tax income. So do you work at home? Do you have a home business? Do you have all your write-offs for your home? Do you use your car a lot for tax, right? I mean, car a lot for your business. So that can be a tax write-off. And all of these decisions that you make and your lifestyle choices can impact your tax story. So is your tax story helping you grow or just helping you get by? So when you look at your various stories, what we want to do is we want to get you empowered enough to rewrite your story. And in rewriting your story of your business, awareness of where you're at is the first step. And change starts when you take that pen back. And we're hoping that pen is black and not red, because we know what that means, right? So the first thing we need to do is we need to read your story. We need to look beyond those numbers, and we need to spot your patterns and your trends. And we need to really see what those numbers mean in your business and the health of your business. And then we need to reframe your story. So when you reframe something, you're basically shifting from clarity to action. And I just thought of this. So think about working in construction, and you walk into a house, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want this wall here or that wall there. But then you need to knock down those walls, and then you reframe it, right? So when you reframe it, it becomes more clear to you. And everybody has their own version of reframing that can shift them to their own clarity and their own action. And each business is different. This is not cookie cutter. And anybody who thinks that they can just apply the same reframe to your story or to your business is working cookie cutter, and they're not getting to know you as a business. And then what I like to do is rewrite your ending, and setting one financial goal that moves the plot of your business forward and seeing how that works is huge. So one step at a time. And I was raised in my accounting life, one thing at a time, focus on one thing at a time. And I know that it's probably thinking, well, I can multitask. Well, there are books and things that say you are less productive when you multitask. So setting one financial goal that moves the plot of your business forward, you will be more successful. I promise you that. So the P&L story, how your business really runs. P&L, profit and loss, your revenue and your expenses. It tells your net income. It is your snap. It is your where you are in a year. Okay. And this starts over every year. So if your business runs from January to December, on January 1, it starts over. P&L, profit and loss, or income statement, they are both, they both work together. They're synonymous. So your revenue is what you're doing. It sets the scene, okay? But your profit is what keeps your lights on and moves you forward. Your profit is what pays your bills, okay? And that's the game changer. And if you don't have profit, then you can't pay your bills. Now you've got payroll and team costs. Payroll, we all know what payroll is. It's your W-2 people who, come in and work for you every day. And then you have your team costs. Now, your team costs, a lot of those are your consultants. They're your 1099 folks. They're your folks that if you're in construction, or if you're outsourcing your IT or outsourcing your accounting, right? We're all part of your team. And as good as we are doing, right, will show you whether your processes are being supported or being strained. So if you have, I want to talk about outsourcing accounting. Number one, if you hire an accountant, this is a great way to talk about this. If you hire an accountant in your business, they're an expense. You pay payroll taxes on them. You have to carry their computers. You have to carry, you have to support them within your business. Now, if you outsource your accounting business, then it's a 1099, and the accountant has to worry about everything else, their own taxes, their own income taxes, everything. And although it might be a write-off for you, depending on your structure of your business, you might be better off outsourcing it. Again, it just depends on the structure of your business and how big you are. But there are a lot of companies who are moving to outsource IT, HR, accounting, because then they don't have to carry it on their books. So are the numbers in your P&L, are they backing your business? Or building your business? Sorry about that. Or building your business? Or what really is it telling you? So now we have the health story. So this is one of my favorites, of course, because numbers and health coaching, they all go together. So here's what we got with the health story. Negative equity. Now, a lot of you might be saying, what the heck is equity? And is equity the same as my net income? The answer to that is no. So your net income is what you make in a January to December timeframe, and your equity is like what you own. So it could be your trucks, it could be a building, it could be computers, and then what you owe for that. And if what you owe for your assets is negative, meaning in the red, then that can be a sign of burnout. And that's a red flag. And burnout for a company that's upside down that way is a real thing, because those are the owners that are working so hard, but they don't have their profit and loss story together, that they are, or their tax story. So they're worried about taxes, that they just burn out and quit caring. Also, if you have high liabilities, that can be credit card debt, that can be debt for rent, that can be debt for cars or trucks or computers or whatever. And if they are high, that is future stress waiting to happen. And the more you owe, the less cash you have and the less room you have to move and grow. That's the bottom line. If you owe a lot of people money, you have no money. So then what happens is you have low cash reserves. And even the most profitable businesses can run into problem if there's no cushion. And cash gives you options. And so if your P&L is not right, and we don't see the trend in your expenses, and we don't see where you can maybe shave some cash, then you could be making money at the end, but you're not, but you may not have any cash. And you're like, well, I'm making money, but where's my cash? And that is a legit question, I promise you. So my question is, would you invest in your business today if it wasn't yours, based on where it is right now? Based on the different stories that are going on right now? Would you invest in your own business? I think this is a great question, because I have a couple clients looking back would go, oh my gosh, I wish I would have done X, Y, and Z, or I wish I would have had the bigger picture presented to me, so I would have made better decisions, which is super key when you're running a business. Or you have, the IRS coming after you like vultures, going, hey, I want my money, and you just don't mess with the IRS. So that's why your tax story is also so important. And then the other thing I want to say about your health story is, if you are not taking care of yourself, you're not getting good sleep, you're not going to bed with peace of mind, then you're running with a high stress level. And that high stress level can create brain fog, and it can really impact your ability to make a good decision. And so is your lifestyle healthy? And also, if your lifestyle outside of your business is complete chaos, well, then as a person, as an owner of a business, you're going to bring that chaos into your business. But if you have a really, you're really good at cutting those ties between kind of what you have going on and then going home and spending time with your family or your animals or whatever that is, and then having a place to release that energy. Maybe it's the gym, going for a walk, walking your dog, whatever that is. Then you can bring a more calm version of yourself to your business. That's why working out is so important to me, because I can bring a more calm and more clear person to you as the client. And you want that. You don't want a stressed out bookkeeper. I promise you that. Or a stressed out accountant. You don't want a stressed out accountant because, oh my gosh, who knows what'll happen with your numbers. So, what is your business really telling you? Your numbers aren't just reports. They're your business speaking to you. And are you listening? Do you hear it? There is one thing I have really prided myself on, and that's listening between the lines. And what that is when I listen to somebody talk and I listen to a client about their visions, where they want to go, where their troubles are, a lot of times I listen between the lines. And your business is trying to tell you the same story in a spreadsheet, in numbers, in trends. So are you listening to that? Now, I had somebody ask me not too long ago this question: how is PLH Accounting Services different? And I'll tell you why. Because I have decades of business experience, accounting, HR, payroll, insurance, audits, you name it, sales tax, as I talked about. I am like an all-in person, and I can do just your books, or I can also I can also work with insurance companies and that sort of thing, or give you ideas. Or better yet, because I am not a tax accountant, but I have a lot of experience in tax, I can arm you with questions to go talk to your tax accountant. And I can also get on the line with you with your tax accountant to not only try to translate what they're trying to tell you, but also to help you understand kind of what you're presenting to them to get the best of both worlds. And I've really found that that is super important, because there are some tax accountants for sure, and I've run into a handful of them, where you hand them your stuff and they take it at face value. They don't ask any questions. And you want those tax accountants to ask you questions, because you want that tax accountant, just as your regular accountant, to work for you. Additionally, I'm all about the relationship. I don't just manage numbers, I build real partnerships. I like to know about you. I like to know about your business. I like to know about where you want to go. I love the relationship. And I think that's something that really sets us apart for sure. And as a certified health coach, I care about you not only financially, but personally. Now, look, I'm not going to write you a meal plan or try to push you to eat vegan, nothing like that for sure. But if you have questions, I can answer them, right? And additionally, I can help you with stress techniques. And I'm not talking meditation on all of them, because, kind of an overused thing right there. Now, here's how we help. We help train your systems. So the one thing we want to do is make sure that your processes are working for you and not against you, right? Are you taking too many steps to get something done? Additionally, we want to earn your trust. This is a no judgment zone. And I can tell you, I've had clients in really strange predicaments that they really don't want to talk about. But this is a no judgment zone. Look, I've made my own mistakes. I've done my whole list of things. And all I want to do is look forward and make you better. And not a lot of fancy jargon. That's for sure. We just want honest numbers and the story behind them. And then and empower your growth. So use your numbers to pivot, to plan, and to actually make some money. Because behind Every thriving business is a great system, and the secret weapon is your accountant, who not only gets it, right? Gets accounting, but gets you as a business and knows how to read behind the lines or read between the lines with a dash of wit. So you gotta have a personality going into this. It is very serious to you. I completely understand that, but I also like to enjoy it and have a good time. So all in all, let PLH help you. And for those of you who want to get in contact with me, if you put the word chamber in a text message to my telephone or chamber in an email, I will offer you a 30-minute consultation, and I will look at your books and we will talk about where you're feeling overwhelmed, where you're feeling empowered, and we'll talk about it and see if it's a good fit for us to work together. There's one thing I know, that partnerships are huge, and I am willing to outsource to another accounting firm if they don't fit within me or with me and my firm. So I can't do everything for everybody. So I am willing to work that out as well.